and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and the man seated next to me has Christopher Cross kidnapped on an island, and his name is Mike Roth.
You're not supposed to tell people stuff like that.
I'm just saying, no one has heard from Christopher Cross since Lady in Red.
Yeah, well, guess what?
Got him
You're
trapped.
not supposed to tell people.
Well, we've been looking for him, Mike.
Well, it's a big world.
We don't know which island it is.
Place.
A lot of islands going on. So this week, we have a few very interesting movies to discuss on the marquee. The first one is the new Lego movie. On the heels of the success of the Lego movie and Lego Batman, we have the Lego Ninjago movie. This movie is based on the TV series, a big successful TV series, the Masters of Spinjitzu.
Never seen it.
Never seen that?
No.
And of course the accompanying Lego toys that come with that series. And so this movie is basically a young boy named Lloyd, or to some, Lloyd. He's the son of an evil warlord named Garmadon. And because he is the son of an evil warlord, everyone shuns him. He is an outcast to everyone, but he does not have a relationship with his father. This movie is a father-son relationship movie. He just wants to fit in at school because he's a teenager. Wants to fit in at school. He wants to be a great ninja with his team, and he just wants to save the world and just be a cool ninja. Unfortunately, the old man Garmadon shows up and takes over Ninjago City, kind of brings it to its knees, and thanks in part to the ultimate weapon, which of course is a laser pointer, which summons a kitty cat, and it's the team then trying to fight back against Garmadon. The movie is a whole host of voice actors. You have Dave Franco as Lloyd, Jackie Chan as Master Wu. You see Master Wu here in the trailers. He is the Mr. Miyagi of the Ninjago universe. He is the Raiden. He is the whatever you need him to be. Voiced by Jackie Chan. You also have members of his team. You have voiced by Fred Armisen. Kumail Nanjiani is in, Michael Pena, and Zach Woods. And the movie opens with, like a lot of these have recently, it opens with the live-action Jackie Chan, the old master, kind of like a Gremlins type, like, I've got a secret for you, young man.
He's like one of those actors I really enjoy seeing, no matter what. He's just an awesome guy.
He's Jackie Chan, and he's got a movie coming out in a couple of weeks that I'm really excited for
Same
as well,
here.
The Foreigner. But and so it is really Jackie Chan himself telling this kid the story of the Ninjago. Let me tell you, and how Legos were created or something along those lines.
He brings out that H at Lego, it's like...
Yeah, the first Lego.
Yeah.
Who's Master Wu. What did you think of our Lego Ninjago movie?
The first half of this movie I really enjoyed. It's same kind of humor as all the other movies, just some absurd, quirky little humor that goes through, and it's fast action. And adding all this real stuff, like the real kitty, the real laser pointer. They had a sequence where you see a lot of real people doing weird things.
Yeah.
I thought that was absurd enough to make it really funny, but the last half of this movie just really dragged for me.
Yeah.
It seemed like they're rerunning a lot of the same jokes over and over again. And everything that they were displaying felt like just fillers, so they could say this is a movie-length, feature.
Yeah, I mean, that was my big thing with this movie, is having seen episodes of the series. My kids watched this, and this just felt like it fell into the same trap that a lot of, especially animated TV shows that try and make the leap to movies, is it felt like just kind of a bloated episode. The other thing that kind of annoyed me, and I know it's something that they have to do, but this is a successful TV series, and they replaced all the voice actors with Hollywood actors. So you had like, well, it's successful. Why don't you just carry the same voice actors over?
Yeah.
Voice actors are people too. Nope, we have to get Dave Franco in. We have to get these. And to me, it just kind of felt, the world of the Ninjago universe just kind of felt really small. Like, I was hoping they would kind of try and give nods to the other Lego movies, Gotham and Lego City, and show that this is part of a thing. And it didn't, and it was just like, okay, so everything's happening here in Ninjago City. And so, yeah, it just kind of felt like I say, a bloated TV episode.
I did like the voice actor, but I couldn't really pinpoint the voices. I think maybe they skewed it a little bit. You could kind of tell, but I really don't understand why you have to spend probably 10 times as much for a famous actor to do something that a voice actor already has years of experience of doing.
Precisely. Yeah, and I mean, the movie is, it's all about daddy issues. And the other part is, I mean, most of the team, it feels like they're just kind of background to the Garmadon Lloyd story in this movie. And it's like, when we need Cole or one of these other guys to show up, we'll bring them in. But, like, if you don't know their names, just know, the water guy, I guess, is here. Yeah. The fire guy's showing up.
And I think that was part of the humor, too. I've never seen the television show. I actually didn't even know there was a television show. But, I have these guys come out. It's just like, this is very cliche, but at the same time, I feel like they're extremely aware of it, and it made it funny. Yeah. I wish they kept up this original kind of humor throughout the entire movie, but they didn't. I love the first half. The other half, I was looking at my clock.
To me, it just felt like it was okay, but it also felt like kind of, definitely in comparison to the previous two Lego movies, this one felt like it was really lacking some things, lacking some punch to it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what did you end up giving Lego Ninjago?
I gave it a mediocre 2.5. I mean, the kids are going to love it. That's about it.
Oddly, I gave it a higher score than you, and I think I've been trashing it more. I gave it 3 stars. But yeah, I love the other two ones. Yeah. I love Lego Movie. I love Lego Batman. Those were great. I thought this was just kind of there.
Maybe that's part of the reason my score was a little lower, is just because I was expecting something great like the original movie and Batman. But
speaking of expecting something great, Michael, what do you have for us on the marquee?
Well, friend request.
Oh.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about the backstory. This was completed back in 2014. Was not shown for the first time until last year in Italy. And for some reason, we're getting this, almost.
It's usually a mark of a successful film.
Yeah, well, originally it was going to be called, they were going to rename it because it was going to come out the same time as Unfriended did.
That great movie, the Skype horror movie.
Yeah, and they didn't want the confusion. I'm thinking maybe that's why they waited an extra year, so people wouldn't get confused. But anyhow, the story is about Laura. She is super, super popular. She's pretty. She has a dream boyfriend, tons of friends in real life, even more friends on the Facebook life, way up in the 800s or whatever.
Man, jealous.
Super popular. And she comes across a girl that's a little quirky, a little bit weird, not a lot of friends, actually 0 friends. And she goes onto her Facebook page and sees, she has 0 friends, but she has some beautiful creative artwork, and I'm going to get her to know her a little bit. I'll just add her to my pool of hundreds and hundreds of other friends. And unfortunately, the lady who was, her name was Marina, she wasn't used to having a friend on her Facebook, and she really thought this was a true friendship. They were going to be besties. And the relationship starts getting a little weirder and weirder as someone takes a friend request from Facebook and takes it full wholeheartedly. As the relationship got weirder, Laura decides to unfriend her.
Oh, no.
And it causes Marina to be suicidal. And she videotapes this, and then Laura was cursed. It's not just affecting her, but it's also affecting all her friends that are linked up to her Facebook account. And the whole curse is to make Laura as lonely as Marina was right before her suicide. So that pretty much means all of Laura's friends are in jeopardy. But, Laura's fine. It's played much like The Ring, where there is a detective story and there's a lot of creative, disturbing images that they have to explain every single image in order to achieve a final result, which really didn't matter. I mean, these disturbing images were great. They did some well-timed jump scares, but actually creep factor was not there for me at all, since it really relied a lot on movies that have been done better. That's exactly like this plot. did nothing for me.
Yeah.
And I was getting kind of bored at the end. Jump scares are there, but in a horror movie, you really need more than just have someone shouting at you with a creepy face every once in a while.
I mean, jump scares will only be effective so many times.
True.
Before it's like, okay,
well,
that's all you got.
I'll still jump when everything's quiet and you're waiting and waiting. It's like a Jack-in-a-Box. Yeah. You know, when you're a kid and you do this, you still jump every single time. Or the game pop-up, which I hate.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, they're there. If that's what you're looking for in a horror movie, yeah, go ahead. Go see this. But if you want something that's going to disturb you at night or something you're going to think about for a long time, definitely gloss this one over.
Yeah.
If you're a huge horror fan, wait until it's out on video or something. Really, it's
so what did you end up giving?
I gave it a 2. It's less than par. It had some good jump scares, but really that doesn't make a good movie. That just makes good timing for going boo.
Yeah, we found that out. That's unfortunate, but not surprising to me.
Yeah.
The next movie we have on the marquee is the big movie of the week, the movie that we've kind of been looking forward to. It is the sequel to the hit movie Kingsman, Secret Service. This is the Kingsman, The Golden Circle. Matthew Vaughn is back. He's bringing his team back together. Taron Egerton is back as Eggsy. He is, of course, a Kingsman. After the events of the first movie, he and Merlin, played by Mark Strong, are kind of leading the team. There are still Kingsmen out there. The movie opens with this crazy action sequence where we meet our villain, who is a former recruit, Charlie, from the first movie, who lost his arm. Charlie's back. He's got a bionic arm. And there's an insane, high-paced action scene set to Prince's Let's Go Nuts in the car hurtling down the street. It's the hallmark of what Matthew Vaughn loves to do.
Yeah.
We're going to throw crazy action, cool fight choreography, crazy music, and just throw it all at you as hard as we can with a bunch of obscenities, and just see how much we can get on the screen at one time. And Matthew Vaughn is excellent at doing that.
Yeah. What did you think of that opening scene?
I thought it was fine. I liked it. I thought it was a good intro.
I really thought that was the weakest point.
Really?
I mean, for CG, and maybe my eyes just got used to it.
The CG was a little rough at times.
Yeah.
Like you could see, like, okay.
It had some great ideas. I loved how that car was just whipping around into the traffic, but you could tell that all these cars were CG, and that threw me off.
Yeah.
It could have been bad throughout the movie, but I got quickly into the movie after those scenes, and everything just was seamless after that.
So the movie is Kingsmen are being targeted. They've been exposed. A file has been stolen. And Kingsmen are all being killed off very unceremoniously. Order 66 has been given, and Kingsmen are dead. And it is down to just Eggsy and Merlin. So the emergency, the doomsday scenario is to go to the United States and hook up with the United States version of them called the Statesman, led by Jeff Daniels, Champagne Champ himself, as well as Channing Tatum, who shows up, and Halle Berry is there as well, and they are the American version, the Statesman. Together, they are supposed to go out and try and stop the evil. The evil in this movie is Julianne Moore, who plays a lady named Poppy. Poppy has built herself this self-built 1950s utopia where she kind of serves as the smiling hostess who will put you in a meat grinder. And she is trying to, big shock, take over the world by introducing a virus into these narcotics that once you get it, it has effects that are going to kill you. She has the antidote. You've seen this before, trust
89
me.
Batman.
Yeah, there's been many movies where this is the thing. But she does it all with a big smile on her face. And then you have also, what was his name? The guy who plays, the guy with the whip.
Whiskey.
Whiskey. Pedro Pascal, thank you. He's got a magic lasso. Second movie we've seen a magic lasso in this year. And he is also one of the statesmen who is out on a mission. And there's some really fun scenes in here. There's, especially for me, there's the Alpine scene where they're up on the mountain and the ski lift car that they're in comes hurtling down the mountain. Like some classic Bond type scenes. You know, well, we've got to get to the top of this mountain. And a lot of crazy action, a lot of It's what Matthew Vaughn does is just give you some violence with no apology. Like, this is what we're getting. get used to it.
But he does it with an art. I mean, some people will just like give you tons and tons of violence, but it's just a close-up of a punch and a kick, and there's a lot of mess, Transformer-style, Michael Bay-style action where, there's tons of it, but I get sick of it real quick. Every single action scene in here, you are just amazed. People are twirling people around with their legs and spinning behind them and shooting behind other people's backs. It's crazy.
You also have in this movie Sir Elton John in this movie, and serving in more than just a cameo. I thought he was just going to be a cameo, but no, he is kept on this this utopia as a prisoner of Poppy. And it looks like Elton John is having a lot of fun in this movie. It feels like he was having a blast, and basically every line of dialogue had an F-bomb in it for him, and he seemed like he was enjoying it.
And he even got a very CG'd fight scene.
He absolutely did. Now, the plot of this movie is very similar to the first one. The first one, you had world domination through something other means where we're going to control the populace, and you need to come to me. This is very much the same.
Even Statesman is pretty much just the same. That instead of Knights of the Round Table, they're all named after booze.
Right.
Yeah.
Channing Tatum in this movie, they do an interesting thing with him where they just put him to sleep for a good chunk of the movie. Like, he has a couple of moments, and then it's like, night-night.
Yep.
See you later, movie. I'm going to sleep. I thought that was kind of interesting. I enjoyed a lot of the characters. I really like the first movie is a movie that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
My issue with this movie is that the villain in this movie is incredibly weak. That in the first movie you had Samuel L. Jackson, who was amazing, and just little things like affecting that lisp that he had, his aversion to blood as a supervillain.
Yeah.
And the other villain of his assistant with the knife legs. I mean, those are iconic things. In this movie, Julianne Moore just kind of tells faceless guys, kill him, kill him. She doesn't really get her hands dirty. The guy with the bionic arm, we've kind of seen that before. He didn't feel super strong or worrisome to me, and so for me, like, the villain was just kind of blah.
Well, the villain in that case, I believe, is more of a wink to James Bond and a lot of other minions that we don't really talk about. Poor minions. But Julianne Moore, I think her character was actually really creative. I just don't like Julianne Moore's acting style. And I'm sure she's really great, but the fact that you had this 1950s kind of a wholesome sounding June Cleaver, but also a madman at the same time, and all this surreal 50s stuff, all set in like a mountain setting that only evil people would live in. That I thought was fantastic. Julianne Moore's portrayal of that villain was pretty weak.
And I have a couple of issues with this movie that continue to bother me. Is that, first off, Colin Firth was... one of the great things about Colin Firth was going against type in that first movie, where you take the guy who's just kind of the romantic guy, or he's never been an action hero, right? And you put him in this action movie. And that was one of the things that was great about the first Kingsman movie. Also, spoiler alert, but the movie's been out for a few years. One of the most iconic moments of that movie was the church scene, where you really get an intense jump into huge action, violence, and then he walks out of this, and Samuel Jackson shoots him in the head, and oh my God, I didn't see that coming. Our hero has been killed. And this movie undoes things. And this is no spoiler because it's in the trailer. They show you Colin Firth is back. So the first 20 minutes of the movie, they're trying to go like Eggsy and Merlin, like, oh man, I miss Harry, oh man. Everyone in the theater goes, well, we know Harry's not dead because you've shown him in the trailer shaving.
Yeah.
I don't know why they had to give you that reveal in the trailer, because it would have been great to have that moment where you're like, whoa, Harry's alive. They decided to spoil that for free, which kind of bothered me. And it undid one of the best things about the first movie. That kind of bothered me that they decided to do that.
That they took a risk like that.
That they retconned and be like, oh, don't worry. We're going to undo one of the big moments of the previous movie.
I agree with you. That is disturbing, but also the whole tone of this movie is supposed to be tongue-in-cheek. Let's do what other people do, but kind of expose it and try to make it fun. Marvel has been doing this with their superheroes in the comic books forever. Wolverine has died many times. All the characters have died many times. They always get better. That's kind of how it is.
And
the fact that they're doing this with this movie, it would be cheesy with any other movie, but this is all about let's be like everybody else, but let's try and do it 100 times better, because we're not going to take anything seriously at all.
Were you expecting this much John Denver in this movie?
No, I was not.
Country Road was played, I think, 3 different times in this movie.
And then there was Elton John, John Denver, and there was another artist that they just repeated their songs over and over again. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. John Denver's been getting a lot of play this year. I've heard Country Road in a few movies this year. I think I'm good now. I don't. What the weird part to me was they said, okay, we need to go America. We're going to Kentucky. And then they start playing Country Road. I'm like, that's West Virginia. No, I get that you're British and don't know the difference probably. No. I wouldn't know the difference in England with different places. Everything's London to me, but I was like, those are 2 different states.
That's all America.
It's okay. Yeah. It's all America. One of the other thing that I had an issue with, and it just continues to bother me with this movie, is there's a scene in here that I just felt, I'm not a guy that normally gets uncomfortable and just like, I don't like this. There's a scene in this movie that I just did not like at all. And that was, there's a moment in the middle of the movie where they are trying to track down the bad guy, Charlie. And to do so, they decide to use his ex-girlfriend to track him down. And so Whiskey and Eggsy have a tracking device that they have to insert into this lady, and they go to this club that she's at, and it's kind of bro-y of like, hey, let's see who can get it in her first, bro. Okay, high five.
Yeah.
And I did not care for that scene at all. I don't know why it had to be in there.
Yeah, and that has been some of the negative reviews that are out there, is the misogynistic way they're portraying women.
All of the females in this movie. All of them.
Well, you have Halle Berry, who...
she shows up for a minute, and she leaves, and shows up.
Yeah.
But even, I mean...
But her character was there to expose that, this is misogynistic,
but like
while at the same time it's being
Princess Tilde is kind of just there to be the whining voice on the phone.
Yeah.
And just, it is kind of misogynistic with that. And that's kind of this genre, unfortunately, but I was kind of hoping for better. Because Matthew Vaughn did so well with the female villain in the first movie.
Yeah.
And made her really cool and really intimidating.
And they didn't have really a strong character. I mean, even though they brought up the whole women are not in the higher echelons of our group, still, you're right. We had what could have been a possible strong female character in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Night.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what did you end up giving Kingsman the Golden Circle?
I really had a lot of fun. This movie's almost 2.5 hours long, and it did not feel like that. Unlike a lot of other movies that I see, that's only an hour and a half, and I feel like, this is dragging. And I gave it a 4. Not a single... I did love this movie. I had problems with the CG. You're right about the misogyny. I don't think it was as polished as the first one, but still a lot of fun, and I'm going to be watching this again.
Sure. The first movie is a movie that I absolutely love. Rewatched it several times. Love that movie a lot. This one I thought was good, not great. I give it a 3 out of 5. I did not have as much fun as I had with the first one. On the 4th watching of the first one, I had more fun than I had watching this one. But it's still a good time. It's worth the watch.
Yeah.
It's still fun. I still love Matthew Vaughn and a lot of the characters in this. So.
Elton John.
Elton John is great. All right, moving on. We have a movie throwback this week that is kind of perfect. I give you high credit for this one. We're throwing back to, we got spy movies. Spies coming to America from Britain. What do you have for us?
The great year of 1973. Yes. A lot of good things came out of that year.
This guy right
My
here.
birth. Live and Let Die. James Bond movie. We already referenced just James Bond with our review of Kingsman, and that's because Kingsman does borrow a lot from the James Bond series.
Absolutely.
And this James Bond is the one where a bunch of spies are dying in New Orleans, and Bond has to come to the United States to find this drug dealer that's going to sell tons of heroin here in the United States. Very much like Kingsman. And one of the minions also has a robotic arm. We have Julius Harris playing Teehee. He is the guy that has the robotic arm. And we also have the benefit of having 2 prominent minions. One is Baron Samedi, which you might recognize if you're old enough from the 7-Up commercial.
Right.
Yeah,
the great voice. The Angola.
This is a fantastic movie. Tons of great acting. Yeah, there is also misogyny in this movie.
Jesus, 1973.
But this is also 1973 James Bond, and most James Bond movies were like that up until the 80s.
I mean, this is the first Roger Moore Bond movie.
Yeah.
His first foray in. You got Yaphet Kotto as the villain. I love Yaphet Kotto.
And I love how in the beginning he is a character called Tombstone, and he looks all gnarly and stuff, and you're wondering what his backstory is. And then he's like, "Ha-ha, I'm Mr. Big Ol' Log."
Who knew? It also features, of course, the Paul McCartney song, which is played throughout this movie.
And the very lovely Jane Seymour playing Solitaire as the woman who could see the future.
She's a psychic.
3 solid minions, except for she wasn't a good minion.
Yeah, no. I like this movie. This movie broke a lot of barriers with James Bond and an African woman.
Yeah.
A lot of uproar about this when it first came out.
It changed the tone of James Bond, too. It stopped becoming as serious. I mean, there was quirky
Because it was
stuff.
Roger Moore.
Yeah, Roger
Moore brought a little more hokiness to it because he was an older guy coming into Bond.
And I'm probably one of the few people that say that he is one of my favorite James Bonds.
He's my number 4.
Number 4?
Number 4, yeah.
Pierce Brosnan.
It's Connery, it's Craig, it's Lazenby, and then Moore for me. That's how I roll. This one has the great classic Bond ending, though, with a shark tank.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta have a shark tank in a villain's lair. Yeah, it's a good time.
I think Roger Moore has the best minions with the Jaws
Yeah.
and Baron. And,
A lot of good guys he's got to go against. So Live and Let Die. It's a good Bond movie right there.
Definitely check it out. If not, check out one of the other 50 James Bond's movies and see what Kingsman has lifted from them.
All right, let's take a look ahead at what is coming out the weekend of October 6th, sir. We have 3 movies coming out that weekend. I'm excited for one of them. The first one is Blade Runner 2049, a movie that couldn't possibly live up to my expectations. I hope it's incredible. The next movie we have is The Mountain Between Us. Idris Elba and Kate Winslet
Looking forward to it.
stranded on a mountain. Do they eat each other? We'll find out. And, of course, the movie Mike is looking forward to, the My Little Pony movie. Mike, you a brony?
Well, of course, I believe I admitted to it in one of my...
No doubt about it. It's in your Wikipedia. One of the early Wikipedia entries. So those will be coming out October 6th. Now, real quick before we go, just this past week, we had the Wizard World Comic Con here in Madison. We got to go to, had a lot of fun, got to see a lot of people.
Did some interviews.
Got to speak to some people. And it was a good time. Hopefully you attended as well and got to maybe meet some Stan Lee or whoever. We met a couple of celebrities. We talked to some guests. And also, since that time, the announcement has come out that they are returning next year. For the 4th consecutive year, Wizard World will be here next year, September 21st through September 23rd of 2018.
Nice.
I'm very excited to see that we continue to get a Comic-Con here.
Same here.
That's very cool. But if you want to see everything that we shot from Comic-Con, the interviews that we got, the different things that we got to check out, we encourage you, we're going to post a video, and to see this video, you should be following us on Facebook or on Twitter, Real Reviews TV, at Real Reviews TV. Make sure to follow those accounts, and you will be able to find the video of our interviews and things that we got to see, and a lot of fun. So we just encourage you, make sure you're watching all that. Next week, we are going to be talking about a few movies. We got Battle of the Sexes. We have American Made, the new Tom Cruise film, and the Flatliners remake, all coming for you next week.
You also can't just stop it here. You got to thank our sponsors.
Absolutely, and we ran into him at Comic-Con too, which was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
So we want to make sure we thank Marcus Theaters. Thank you for sponsoring the show. We do enjoy going to your Dream Loungers to watch all these movies. I think I might be sitting in a Dream Lounger multiple times watching Blade Runner 2049. Hopefully I don't storm out in a huff. But yeah, thank you, Marcus, for sponsoring the show. We do appreciate it. So until next week when we're talking about American Made and Flatliners and Battle of the Sexes, my name is Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.